morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody to our show tonight. We have some breaking news for you in several instances here we want to talk to you about tonight, and I think it's very important. Otherwise, we would not have come on the air this late in the evening. The first one happened about 8 hours ago in Palm Springs, California. I want to bring this program right to you immediately now so you'll have it. Here it is.
Continuing to follow breaking news for you out of Palm Springs, California. At least 5 people are injured. 1 person is dead after an explosion right near a fertility clinic there. Video obtained by ABC News shows the aftermath of broken glass and debris scattered in the street out in front of several businesses, including that fertility clinic. People reported feeling the force of that blast throughout the city. Several law enforcement agencies, including the FBI and ATF, are investigating. Palm Springs mayor telling the Los Angeles Times that he could, quote, confirm it was a bomb in or near a vehicle parked at the building. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi has been briefed on the situation, saying, quote, violence against a fertility clinic is unforgivable. For more, let's bring in Rob McMillan. He's a reporter at our Los Angeles station KABC, and he's on the scene in Palm Springs. Also joining us is ABC News contributor and former FBI agent Brad Garrett. Rob, I want to start with you. The Palm Springs Police Department believes this to be an intentional act. What are authorities telling you right now?
Well, first off, this is a massive crime scene. Several city blocks here in downtown Palm Springs blocked off with crime tape, and we've seen all sorts of investigators out here. What we've been able to determine is really what we've been able to see from our own helicopter. One witness described this as a car bomb. Now, from our helicopter, we can see that behind that fertility clinic, in the parking lot behind the clinic, just to the west of the building, there was a car that we believe was parked right up to the fertility clinic. Now, as we look at it, it was blown perhaps maybe 30 feet away toward a dumpster from that blast. Again, the concussion of that blast just annihilated the entire eastern portion of that building. And then what we saw is the blast then sent a number of bits of debris forced through the building out onto the street. The concussion so strong that it actually blew out the windows at Desert Regional Medical Center, the 3rd-story windows across the street from that blast. Liquor store, looks like there's an apartment complex, several buildings around that fertility clinic also have their windows shattered. Now, from what the fertility clinic posted on Facebook this morning in a statement, they told us that they are heartbroken to learn that this event did claim a life and caused injuries, and our deepest condolences go out to the individuals and families affected. We are immensely grateful to share that no members of the ARC team were harmed, and our lab, including all eggs, embryos, and reproductive materials, remains fully secure and undamaged. We are conducting a complete safety investigation and have confirmed that our operations and sensitive medical areas were not impacted by the blast. Again, ABC News reporting that at least 5 people injured. They believe the suspect in this is dead. However, we don't know if the suspect died in the car, if indeed that was a car bomb. We did see from our helicopter on the other side of the street what appeared to be a body covered by a sheet, but whether that's the suspect or perhaps an innocent bystander who may have been killed by the blast, the authorities have not confirmed any of that at this point. Back to you.
All right, Brad, let's pick up where Rob just left off. You're looking at these pictures along with us. Rob's talking about what we can see from the helicopter, and we saw some of those pictures. This wasn't a small blast. This was a big blast that tore through that building, windows on the 3rd floor of a building across the street, half that car blown off, and we are talking, we're hearing about a suspect within the first hour or so of this investigation. What does all of that tell you?
Okay, what you saw there, let me try to back this up just one frame here. This car. What you saw here is the car that was blown away from the building. Okay, look at the car. Notice where the wheels are. The wheels are up in the air. the force of that blast flipped that car upside down and threw it over here. Now, I don't think that's exactly what happened. I don't think that's exactly what happened. What I'm going to show you in just a few minutes is what I think is happening. But I wanted you to see this car as it is right now. Upside down, right next to that dumpster enclosure.
Well, it tells you that in all probability, Phil, this was intentional. First of all, that's usually when you hear that car bombs have been used, they're always planted, they're always placed at a particular location for a particular reason. Now, you might ask, late morning on a Saturday, how busy is this building going to be? So, what was the motive of the bad people or bad person involved in this? Who knows? They're not really focused on that right now. They're really focused on who this car belongs to, what cameras tell them about people moving around this car, and the bomb techs will tell them in fairly short order between ATF and FBI what they have, what type of bomb it was it remote detonated, was somebody inside the car when it blew up, all of those things. But the very, very important key here is this the only bomb? Was this a lone actor with a bomb for whatever motive he or she might have? And that's going to be the real key. So there's all sorts of things. There's many moving parts that are simultaneously going on here to figure out exactly what they have.
And Rob, you're really familiar with the city of Palm Springs. You report all over that area. What can you tell us about the area where this blast went off?
Well, first off, the fertility clinic itself is a rather small building. Just to the north of it is a liquor store. Behind it is a big parking lot that's shared by a couple of other buildings. We haven't been able to identify those yet, although they look like they could be either small apartments or small businesses. Now, across the street, though, is Desert Regional Medical Center. That's the only level 1 trauma center in this entire area. So, as you might imagine, affected by a lot of what has happened here. I should point out that this is the time of year when the temperatures really start to climb in the Coachella Valley. Obviously a really nice day today besides the wind. And so this is the time of year that a lot of the snowbirds, if you will, tend to go back to the northern part of the country and Canada. So this is the time of year when the population in the Coachella Valley tends to drop by half, if not even more than that. So perhaps some bit of good news that there weren't more people walking in and around the area compared to, say, a couple of months ago when there would have been many more tourists in the area.
Brad, Attorney General Pam Bondi has already tweeted about this, said she's been briefed. She says, I've been briefed on the explosion at a fertility clinic. She says violence against fertility clinics is unforgivable. So, the investigation's ongoing. We haven't had any official reports from police, but the U.S. Attorney General is saying this fertility clinic was targeted. If that turns out to be the case, what concerns you about this kind of violence?
Well, the problem here is, of course, if that's true, what the AG believes or knows, if it's true, then what was the actual motive of the person who did this? As I mentioned earlier, it's an odd thing to blow up this place, I think, on a Saturday morning, late morning, outside the building. Was the motive just to damage the building because of issues in reference to fertility? Now, if in fact some version of what I just said is true, you're going to find, is there a connection to this building? In other words, have they had threats? Have there been issues by certain individuals, certain groups that may take them in a direction possibly in this case? But it's hard, as I mentioned earlier, it's hard to believe this is not intentional and that the fertility clinic has something to do with the motive, obviously, of the person who set off this bomb.
Officials using the word suspect inside of the first hour, and the Attorney General saying violence against a fertility clinic is unforgivable. It certainly seems like at this point that it was an intentional act. Rob.
Okay, this was an intentional act. I'm going to confirm to you right now, it was an intentional act. Right off the top. Okay, now let me show you what I know. Right here. See this vehicle? Burned to a crisp. Does not even look like a car. The bottom of the vehicle is sitting straight up into the air, flipped over. Let me show you another picture that you ought to see. Watch this. Look at that. That's without all the police staring over the wreckage. Let me show you something else. Right here. Look at the damage from the back of the clinic. Look at the tire marks on the ground. Look at the tire marks on the ground. Can anybody put this together for me and tell me what happened? Number one, either the vehicle was over by that dumpster lining up to speed into the back of the clinic, and then it was actually spinning the tires on the back of the car that left those skid marks on the pavement. Or when that building got hit by that car and it subsequently exploded, it was driven backwards by the explosion. Driven backwards by the explosion across the parking lot, leaving those tread marks on the parking lot. Or something else. Suppose this. What happens when a vehicle is on fire? The fire department is on scene, and the fire department got here within 60 seconds of the blast. Within 60 seconds of the blast. Do you see any water around that area of the vehicle? No. No, you don't. The fire department put out the fire. The fire department put out the fire. Why do we have tire marks in the pavement? Like I said, either the vehicle left that area by the dumpster and sped across that 30-foot distance between the dumpster and the back of the building, and the back tires were spinning, leaving those treads on the parking lot. Or when the fire department got there, authorities pulled that vehicle back away from the building. Authorities pulled that vehicle back away from the building. And then the vehicle continued to burn. But that also doesn't answer the question why the vehicle was upside down, leaving those tread marks here. I'm just throwing that out for you. I am a former police investigator. I am a former police federal investigator. I know these things. Okay? I'm looking at all angles of this explosion here. Let me show you another thing that you ought to see. What happened when that exploded? The vehicle was on the backside of the building when it exploded. The force of that blast blew out the front of this building. The front of the building is out onto the roadway. Look at all that debris on the roadway. The force of that blast was such that it blew out the front of that building and it ended up onto the roadway in front. Incredible. There is no way a vehicle like this would have survived the blast. No way. Also, something else I want to show you here. Look at this. The vehicle started a fire. The blast started a fire inside the clinic. You see some of the debris that got blown out of the clinic here. You see the tile up on the roof, the roofing tile also blown out as well. And the part of the roof where the fires come through the roof is also blown out. There's a great big hole there. Incredible. Incredible. That was a huge blast. This was a huge blast. Again, I'm putting this all out there so you guys can maybe put together your own questions about what happened. I was privy to the press conference just about 3 hours ago that they held in Palm Springs. They had the fire department, they had the police chief, they had the FBI, they had the ATF, and they had the bomb squad there, okay? They all said they would not answer any of the press's questions about what happened here. Trish Killian is asking, could this be a disgruntled employee? It could have been anything. It could have been anything. Now, the report said that the suspect was dead. Now, in this picture here, do you see a person lying on the pavement or on the sidewalk covered up with a sheet? No, absolutely not. All you see here is debris. Okay? The suspect had been in the vehicle. The suspect is dead. They also said this, that they have a person in question. They have a person that they're looking at right now that may have caused this blast. The FBI is calling it an intentional act of terrorism. I've been in contact with Akil Davis, who is the assistant director in charge of the FBI LA office. Okay, he said the clinic was targeted. This was intentional. The blast shattered the windows and rained debris all over the area for blocks. Blocks. That means the evidence is all over the place. It's going to take days, if not weeks, to look at all the evidence. They have sealed off this area with police and FBI agents already. Sealed it off. Sealed it off. Now, authorities are still working to confirm the identity of the person who has died. They decline to say whether the person who's died is a suspect in the blast. But they're not willing to say anything else. But they have said this, quote, "We have a person of interest in this investigation, and we are not actively out searching for another suspect." They have a person of interest in mind here, which means to me that it's just not the suspect who was killed in the blast. Think about that. Now, I'm not fear-mongering at all. I'm not doing that. I'm just giving you the facts. I'm giving you the facts as I know them. Again, I am a former investigator myself. I know things. I know things. Does anybody have any questions about this Palm Springs blast that happened almost 9 hours ago? Happened just after 11 a.m. Pacific time in Palm Springs. Any questions? Now, there's something else I want to show you. Right before I came on the air tonight, I was notified that a great big huge Mexican military tall ship. This tall ship is not an active military ship. However, it is a military army ship from way back when. This Mexican tall sailing ship crashed into the New York Brooklyn Bridge tonight. Search and rescue efforts are underway after a Mexican Navy tall ship sailing crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge tonight. There were over 200 people on board when this boat's 147-foot mast hit the bridge just before 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Emergency crews are working to pull people out of the East River tonight. Videos are on social media showing that the mast collapsed after hitting the bridge. Onlookers can be heard gasping as they watch the crash before the boat continued under the bridge. The tall ship Cuauhtemoc, Cuauhtemoc, and I know I'm butchering it, Cuauhtemoc, a sailing tall ship from the Mexican Navy. This ship arrived earlier this week and docked at Pier 17 in New York. They were offering free tours of the boat, with the final tour running from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. tonight. In a post on X, the Mexican Navy confirmed the ship had been damaged after a mishap with the Brooklyn Bridge. The status of personnel and equipment are being reviewed by the naval and local authorities in New York, who are also providing support. The Navy reaffirms its commitment to personnel safety, transparency in its operations, and excellent training for future officers of the Mexican Navy. This is a developing story, and as we get more information, we will bring it to you. This is a developing story. Now, there's one other thing that I want to talk to you about tonight. This also happened, well, actually, two things. The next thing I want to talk about are 7 prisoners who escaped New Orleans jail last night. They escaped the New Orleans jail last night. This is pretty bad. This is pretty bad. Now, I want to also tell you this. They may have had help escaping from the jail. They may have had help escaping from the jail. 7 people escaped. 7 people escaped. 1 is in custody now. They found him hiding underneath a car in a parking garage of a hotel in downtown New Orleans. They're still searching for the others. They're still searching for the others. How does this happen? How does this happen? Unfortunately, this happens too many times. 7 inmates remained on the loose after escaping the New Orleans jail last night. And like I said, they may have had help. 3 of the 10 inmates who escaped have been apprehended. The escaped men should be considered armed and dangerous. Kendall Myers was apprehended in the French Quarter, a tourist hotspot, less than 3 miles from the New Orleans Justice Center. The Louisiana State Police said that they found him hiding beneath a car in a hotel parking garage. Miles was charged with second-degree murder and now escaped from a penitentiary in New Orleans. The second inmate, Robert Moody, was captured late Friday night. More information on Moody's capture is not immediately available right now. In an update late last night, authorities announced DKENAN, Dennis, had been captured near the Chief Mentor Highway. We made progress, according to the New Orleans Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick. She said today 3 of the suspects are now in custody. People are talking. We appreciate that. The second person we got into custody was actually a Crime Stopper tip. The 3 captured fugitives have been transported to a more secure state correctional facility outside the area. Initially, officials said 11 people had escaped, but officials didn't realize 1 had just been transferred to another cell. 4 of the men are still at large. Corey Boyd, Lenton Van Buren, Jermaine Donald, and Derek Groves. Derek Groves, Corey Boyd, Lenton Van Buren, and Jermaine Donald. They are being charged with second-degree murder. Some of the inmates began tampering with locked cell doors at 12:22 a.m. last night. They were seen on surveillance video entering the cell about 20 minutes later. The 10 inmates exited the jail through a wall behind the toilet at 1:01 a.m. this morning. They then made their way off the property through a loading lock door and scaled the perimeter wall, using blankets to protect themselves from the barbed wire. From there, they cleared a path to a railroad track and then the interstate. The sheriff's office showed surveillance video uncovered during their investigation into the breached escape that showed the inmates jarring open a sliding door on a cell, fleeing from the loading dock and running across Interstate 10. Their orange jail uniform was found abandoned in a neighborhood near I-10. We have the indication that these detainees received assistance in their escape from inside our department. It's almost impossible, not completely, but almost impossible for anybody to get out of this facility without help from the outside. The men were discovered missing during a routine head count at the New Orleans Justice Center at approximately 8:30 a.m. this morning. That means they had about 7 to 7.5 hours of freedom before they were even discovered to be missing. The United States Marshals, the Louisiana State Police, and probation and parole departments were notified at 9:30 a.m. this morning. The New Orleans police and sheriffs were notified at 10:30 a.m. These folks were able to get out and did so because of defective locks on the cells. There's no way people can get out of a facility without some help, and we intend to find out exactly what happened. Officials are saying that they are investigating how this breach occurred, saying the inmates had to have had help to get out, and at least some type of tool enabled them to escape. Incredible. New Orleans, Louisiana had 10 escaped prisoners, and 4 of them have been apprehended. I gave you the names of the suspects that are still missing. We hope to find them arrested very soon. If any of you have any ideas on who these people may be or where they're at, please call the New Orleans Police Department or the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office in Louisiana. They would appreciate your help. My next story has to do with the storms that ravaged Kentucky, Tennessee, and North Carolina last night. At least 27 people are dead, and I've heard the numbers as high as 35 people are dead from the tornadoes and storms that ravaged these states last night. Now, there are more storms tonight over in Oklahoma and other places, and more potentially powerful storms forecast today and tomorrow. State officials have reported 18 people who were killed in Kentucky. 7 were killed in Missouri and 2 in Virginia. Most of the deaths in Kentucky occurred in Laurel County in the southeastern part of the state, about 130 miles southeast of Louisville. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear toured the damage in his state today, telling reporters and everyone who would listen during a news conference that you cannot only see the destruction, you can feel it. Governor Beshear, who declared a state of emergency ahead of the storms, said that he's been the governor for at least 13 of the federally declared disasters that have happened. All of these disasters have been weather related. And this storm last night is just one of the worst in terms of loss of life. The ages of those killed in the storm range from 25 years old to 76 years old, with at least 12 of the deaths being people in their 60s and 70s. One of the people who died was identified as Major Roger Leslie Leatherman of the Laurel County Fire Department, who had been in public service for 39 years and died doing what first responders do every day, risking his life for our safety. Today, residents have sifted through wreckage and rubble. Some neighborhoods in London and the Laurel County seat saw total devastation. Homes were blown away in the middle of the night, with residents huddling in hallways and basements. Today, whole blocks of homes are gone. Residents have been left to sift through what remained of their homes. Incredible destruction. Total and absolute destruction. This is even hard for me to realize. And I've been in tornadoes. I've been in a lot of areas. And I've never seen anything like this. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I'll ever see anything like this again. I don't think we're going to ever see anything like this again. Yes, there are going to be storms. There's going to be damage. But last night's event is astounding in more ways than one. I'm just telling you. This is astounding in more ways than one. Now, if you just give me a second, I want to show you one picture of damage in London, Kentucky. Some of these tornadoes were F1 to F5 tornadoes. And like I said, I've never seen anything like this. Great big swaths of land totally obliterated. Great big swaths of land totally obliterated. Like I said, I've never seen anything like this. And I don't think we'll see it anytime soon. Look at this, guys. Let me enlarge this for you. Look at how this tornado obliterated this neighborhood. You can see the footprint from way over to the top of this video or this particular picture. The tornado touched down. Then it ran straight through that property. Straight through that property, destroying homes and anything else that was in its way. Incredible destruction. Renee Steffi says, so far the Somerset London tornado has been classified as an EF3. And reports are still pending by the National Weather Service. Incredible. Incredible. Now, I want to tell you this. About 1 a.m. this morning, Carol and I went to bed about 11:30. There were no tornadoes or storms even coming anywhere close to us. Then suddenly, out of nowhere at 1:30 this morning, we had a great big huge bolt of lightning strike just west of our home. Hit the ground west of our home. We have blackout curtains on our windows, and yet our bedroom was illuminated as bright as day. Incredible. Incredible. And the sound of that lightning, the thunder was immense. Totally incredible. Both events, both the lightning and the thunder came back to back immediately within about a second, which means that lightning hit right near our house. That's what can happen. Now, folks, if you are anywhere near any of these storms, if you are near any of these storms and you have a tornado warning, take cover immediately. Go to the center of your home. Go to the center of your home in a hallway even. A place without any windows. Stay away from interior walls or exterior walls. Stay away from exterior walls. Stay away from windows of any kind. If you have a basement, go down to an interior part of the basement in a corner. Go down to the corner of your basement and cover up. Cover up. And stay there till you hear the storm is cleared. Stay there. Okay? Adventuring Mike is still here in the chat. There are some strong storms here in the west, North Carolina this morning. Lots of thunder and lightning here. I agree there was. Last night, like I said, at 1:30 this morning, it was incredible. Incredible. I've seen lightning before. I've seen lightning strikes right near me. But to be woken up in the middle of the night and having blackout curtains in your room, and your room still as bright as noonday, that's an incredible thing. Incredible thing. Renee Stebby says a small tornado touched down around Transylvania and Henderson, North Carolina around 3 a.m. this morning. That's east of here. That area is east of here. Incredible. And Renee Stebby says she meant 5, not 3, 5 a.m. this morning. Val Hahn is here saying crazy hail and thunder in Reno, Nevada today and yesterday. I can only imagine. Now we have one of our friends in Oklahoma. There is a picture. I'll try to find it and bring it into the show within the next couple days. It shows her holding a softball-sized piece of hail, a great big softball piece of hail in her hand. Incredible. Incredible. Does anybody have any questions about anything we talked about tonight? I want to make sure we answer any questions and that you guys, if you have any information for me, we can pass it on. Does anybody have any questions for me tonight? Linda Covington's in Virginia. She said, dogs went crazy last night too. Loud lightning strike around 4 a.m. woke her up. Wow. You got it too, Linda. That's incredible. Guys, we appreciate each and every one of you here in the chat and everybody here that's just watching this program. We appreciate your attention. Please, folks, if you will, please share this program far and wide. Share this program with your family, your extended family, your friends and neighbors in your area. Share with the people you associate with on social media. Share with the people you work with. That would be greatly appreciated. They need to see this program. They need the information we showed with you tonight. Everyone needs it. If you're not subscribed to this program, please subscribe to this program as well. That way you can get notified when we come on the air. We come on the air with data, emergency information, disaster information, Monday through Friday between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern Time every day. On Saturdays, we come on the air when there's breaking news like we did tonight. On Sundays, we come on the air about 12:30 in the afternoon with Come Follow Me, the Savior Said, a Sunday school class that I've been privileged to teach for about 6 years now. We appreciate everyone here. Surgery, we have no word on any suspects yet. We don't have the name of the suspect in Palm Springs either. I think the FBI is going to hold on to that for another day or two. We don't know. Eventually, Mike is asking, I think someone asked what should cause an explosion like that earlier. A car bomb. It was definitely a car bomb. Incredible. Surgery says fertilizer B. Possibly. Possibly. We have bomb technicians from the FBI. We have bomb technicians from the ATF. They're there investigating. We have people from the fire department, hazmat fire department. They're also investigators. We have police officers from Palm Springs. They're also there. And neighboring department sheriffs included. I believe we're going to find some answers within the next couple of days. And I will pass that information on as soon as we get that. Michael Kearney is here. Thank you, Michael, for being here. Any other questions? Folks, if you will, we need your help in donations to help support this program and keep us on the air. We would greatly appreciate if you would please share this program, and also if you find it in your heart and you have the ability to help support this program by either donating to our Venmo or PayPal locations that are listed just below this video today in the top of the program description. And they're also scrolling across the bottom of your screen right now. You can also send us donations to our mailbox here. The EMA address is 504 Bethel Road, Box 401. Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. We'd appreciate if you could help support us here. We need to be able to keep this program on the air, and I appreciate all of your help. We appreciate all of your love as well. Surgery is saying a 4.9, 5.0 earthquake hit in the North Atlantic tonight. Incredible. Incredible. Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me at all, since we had a 6.5 in the South Atlantic near the South Sandwich Islands a couple days ago. So that energy has moved up into the North Atlantic now. And it's going to go up to Iceland and points north. Guys, we appreciate you being here. Thank you for being here. Again, we'll be back here. If anything else happens tonight, we'll be back here on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Otherwise, we will see you about 12:30 tomorrow afternoon with Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. Again, that's a Sunday school class we're going to hold here at 12:30 Eastern Time tomorrow. God bless you. God be with you until we meet again. Eventually, Mike just gave us a $5 super chat. Said, keep it up. Mike, thank you so much. God bless you. God bless you all for being here. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side.